Demon Slayer is the biggest anime success story in recent years, with just about anything with its name on it doing ludicrously well for itself. With this in mind, it was only a matter of time before the franchise got a video game. Surprised it took this long, to be completely honest with you. But how is it? Is it good? Is it worth the asking price? That is what we are going to check out today. Make sure you let me know what you thought about the game in the comments as well, and now let's get into this. The most obvious thing to note is that the presentation is absolutely gorgeous. The ultimate attacks in particular look absolutely stunning, as well as some really well directed cutscenes that look just about as close to the anime as these games are gonna get. The soundtrack is lifted straight from the show, which is a great decision as, let's be honest, some of the greatest story scenes would not feel as epic and emotional with different songs. Both Japanese and English dubs are included in the game, which is a great thing and hopefully will become the standard going forward. Even if I personally don't care for the English dub, it's good for those that do like it and to have the option. The gameplay does feel a little bit repetitive at the beginning, which I was really worried about. However, once you get further in and enemies start presenting more of a challenge, it gets much better and a lot more fun. You can't just spam the attack button, instead you will need to learn to dodge each enemy's attacks and find an opening to launch a counterattack. It makes the bosses feel like actual boss battles and not just another character that you happen to be fighting in this arena fighter. The story mode of the game takes you from the beginning of Season 1 all the way through the Mugen Train movie and allows you to play some of the most epic battles and moments from the series. I'm normally not a big fan of quick time events in games, but I do think that having these cinematic QTE finishers for all the bosses was a great idea. That's not Tanjiro beheading that demon, that was me, I did that. The story mode actually does begin a little later than the anime does, likely so that you'd have a thematic tutorial fight against Sabito. The very beginning of the story is included in memory fragments that you unlock through the story mode and can be viewed at a later time, so it isn't the end of the world, but it still might be a little confusing for newcomers. Not that I think many newcomers are going to buy this game without having some idea what Demon Slayer is. Cue everyone in the comments saying that they don't know what a Demon Slayer is. The story mode actually does make for a decent recap before Entertainment District arc starts in December. Not sure if that was intentional. If it wasn't, it was one happy accident. So yeah, by everything I've said so far, the game sounds great, right? And you should really go buy it right away, right? Well, not quite. While I do think the game is very fun, there is a big issue that needs to be addressed. It can be summed up in the phrase, is that it? When you really break it down, the game only has 3 modes: story mode, versus mode, and training mode. Let's go through each of them. Training mode basically gives you challenges to do within a battle. In theory, this is a great idea, maybe ask you to perform different combos to teach you each character's specific moves that progressively gets harder, like a bunch of 2D fighting games do. What we have instead is an easy as anything mode that asks you to do a combination of the following: win in a certain amount of time, use ultimates and boosts, get a certain hit combo, and parry a certain amount of attacks. Now that might sound varied, but it isn't. I completed all of these without having to vary my strategy very much, except for when I had to parry. Part of this is because the game doesn't even force you to play as the character you select. Instead, they are your instructor, so if you want to bulldoze all of these challenges with Rengoku, like I did, then go right ahead, they're not gonna stop you. Versus mode is pretty self-explanatory. You fight either a human or AI controlled opponent on or offline. I played a few games online with wildly different experiences. Some matches were super laggy and virtually unplayable, full of disconnects, whereas others were super tense, a true test of skill and patience with neither of us wanting to be the first to make a mistake. Honestly though, internet issues aside, it's really hard to mess up a versus mode. One thing is very clear though, this game's base roster sucks. Only 18 characters in the game and 6 of them are just straight reskins, so that means really there's only 12 characters. And then there's characters that no one even wanted. I mean, Murata. You can't put Kanao in the game, but you can put Murata in? Okay. It's even weirder, because there are a lot of characters in story mode who have models who should really be playable. Kanao I've already mentioned, but there's also Aoi, the triplets, Tamayo, Yushiro, the other Hashira who are probably not playable because they don't want to spoil the anime, which is fine. I don't like it, but it's fine. But the others I mentioned don't have that excuse. Don't hit me with that, they don't fight at all in the show, so they can't make a moveset. That's rubbish. They gave Makomo a full moveset, and all she does is sit off to the side on the rock in the show. And, you know, Murata. They could easily make up a moveset, maybe give Aoi a broom or something because she does the chores around the mansion. I'm not saying try and make it make sense in the story mode and make it so you add fights you don't need. I'm saying make it so we can play as a larger variety of characters in the versus mode so I don't keep fighting Rengoku and Hinokami Tanjiro online. Thanks for that. I haven't mentioned the demons yet, and while yes, they absolutely should have been included in the base game, the developers are at least releasing them in the free updates, beginning with Rui and Akaza likely the most requested ones, perhaps a sign that they knew they made a big mistake there. And that brings us back around to story mode, which is the place you will be spending most of your time. I've already mentioned some of the things I like about it, the gameplay, the presentation, the epic moments. So now we're going to do the opposite. First off, it's way too easy. There's a CPU difficulty slider in versus mode, which I think was badly needed in story mode. I think I died once the whole game against Akaza at the end, and that's because I got carried away and just was going at him instead of actually learning his patterns. The difficulty instead comes from trying to get the best rank, an S rank, instead of actually winning the fight. Not that getting an S rank is that difficult, you'll probably get it in a couple of tries. Also, the memory fragments that I mentioned earlier are so dull. They're literally just stills from the anime with some voice over the top of it. Anyone who has already seen the anime will be completely uninterested in watching these. I only did it for the sake of completion and unlocking everything. There's also the issue of the Hashira meeting arc. Now, I don't think there's a good way to put this into a video game. It takes up 2 chapters in the story mode and there are no battles in either of them, making it drag on and on. I'll admit they did at least try by adding some mini games, which are just rhythm games. You could have made them different, but whatever. But even then, it's not really enough to make it interesting. Would it have killed to have a sparring match against Kanao or something? Oh wait, no, yeah, that would be because she isn't playable. That's my mistake there. But the biggest issue by far in story mode is the damn walking parts. Seriously, these sections have you not fighting with the satisfying combat and instead walking so slowly, interacting with various blue exclamation marks. It wouldn't be that bad if there weren't so many of these. There are only 2 of these sections that I actually liked, chasing Muzan's smell through Asakusa and running away from your family in Mugen Train. You know, where you can actually move at a decent pace. If they really wanted to do these sections, they 100% needed to make them far more interesting and crucially, let me move at a faster speed. I don't want to crawl around these sections. I want to end this review by saying that I actually do like the game a lot. I know I crapped on it a little bit towards the end there. It is the most fun I've had playing an anime game in a long time. Personally, I would wait to get it when it's on sale. I don't think there's enough content to justify full price, but it is very fun. My main issue with the game is that I wish there was more of it to play, not that it's a bad game. It's not a bad issue to have, but certainly one that I hope gets addressed when this game gets a sequel. Maybe add an arcade mode, or maybe a grindy mode where you gotta boost your stats, or a survival mode, just see how long you can last. There's a lot of things you could do in a game like this. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and I will see you next time.